Peace and love, everybody. Salute y'all. What's up? I wanted to come by really quickly and give, a few thoughts that I had on a particular bout that took place last evening, which is the Teofimo Lopez fight against Steve Claggett, that happened on ESPN last night, as I'm sure you are aware. I wanted to give, a synopsis and just an analysis of some thoughts that I have on the fight and just the takeaway that I have in general regarding Teo. The fight, I could say, was definitely action-packed. I could say that. Both men came to work. The fight was one of will, as it seemed to me. It was about the will and the imposition of one's aggression in order to see who will fold first. That was very much the energy that I got from it. Teo was aggressive and he landed some really good combinations throughout the fight. And it seemed to me that the uppercut in particular was his favorite weapon of choice. Uppercut had some effectiveness throughout that fight. And he definitely used it time and time again. Claggett, however, was a tough little son of a gun. Or so it seemed for Teo. Okay? For nearly the entire fight, he stalked Teo and refused to be placed too much on his back foot for the majority of the bout. His come-forward style proved quite effective against Teo, which was certainly interesting, to say the least. He didn't allow for Teo to breathe or get too comfortable throughout the fight, even with the successes that Teo was managing to assume. It seemed like Claggett wanted to make it very clear that he was a wall that Teo would have to completely break down in order to get through. I can say that Teo definitely had some effectiveness, but he did not break down the wall, in my opinion. Claggett very much stood his ground, and he did so way more effectively and efficiently than many probably would have anticipated, right? This fight turned into a war, and it leaves me really confused as to why this fight was a war, because on paper, it definitely should not have been real talk, okay? It went the full 12 rounds, and Teo's face in the aftermath looked like he had escaped some type of goddamn dangerous ass near fatal damn collision, okay? His eyes were leaking and swollen, and he was just a mess with those eyes. Those eyes were so puffy, they looked like two goddamn bags full of oranges or something. Child? But what was of interesting note about the particular fight between these two men, to me at least, is that Claggett is nearly 10 years older than Teofimo Lopez, y'all. 10 years? Claggett is 35 years old. Okay? And though he certainly is somebody that can be considered, just hitting the peak and tipping over their prime, he is certainly, still very much older than Teo. 10 years, you would consider 10 years to be, or 9-10 year mark, because I believe Teo is 26, that Teo would be fresher, more durable, more capable of overcoming because of that freshness and that openness that he has as a younger fighter, that he would be able to trump and withstand and bounce back more efficiently as opposed to the older fighter. So that was very interesting. And he definitely also has 7 losses on his resume, this gentleman, Claggett. Okay, so as aforementioned, on paper, one would think that the fight should not have posed as much difficulty for Teo as it did. Okay, though Teo showcased dominance within that fight and was very effective, Claggett did not show Teo any respect. He was very aggressive. He pushed the pace, came forward no matter what, and he ate many of Teo's shots like food and just continued stepping. Okay? I don't know how many people were expecting to see this man be bout that life the way that he was against Teo, but he certainly made his presence felt and did not back down despite the effectiveness that Teo was managing to have at particular moments. It wasn't until the later rounds, to me, that we saw signs finally of distress from Claggett's side via, the bleeding that started and all of that. Definitely interesting. Of course, this was a performance that Teo walked away from with a victory, but this is something that wasn't necessarily expected. It begs the question, is this something that we expected to see from somebody as high on the totem pole as Teo is? It definitely begs that question. And also, what does this say about his capacity and the probability of his success against much tougher opponents, much more skilled and unapologetically aggressive opponents? Okay? Definitely begs the question in lieu of that performance. I also found something very interesting during his post-fight interview. Teo, to me, looked quite embarrassed before the questions even commenced. He was jittery. He's pacing back and forth. He's, playing with his nose and playing with his water bottle and just looking all types of, unsteady. He was jittery and making excuses for his performance before questions really even began to be posited. Okay? The excuses were already rolling in his mind. He likened Claggett, I believe. Yes, he did. He likened Claggett to Pitbull Cruz at a particular moment in that interview. And he said that Pitbull is the only fighter, supposedly, that would give him such problems in likeness to that of Claggett within the division, because Pitbull fights with a similar come-forward style as Claggett. And he said no other fighter would, basically give me that type of, run-in or problem. For whatever reason, he then brings Gervonta Davis's name into it, which I thought was weird as fuck, mentioning that Pitbull gave Gervonta a hard time during their fight. And it almost seemed to me that he is trying to deflect and lessen his performance and attention to his performance against Claggett by bringing up the similarity, I guess, in his mind, because Gervonta had problems with Pitbull. I just found that to be very weird, that he would liken a questionable performance that he should have easily walked through on paper to Gervonta Davis when nobody is talking about Gervonta Davis. It's almost like, well, Tank had issues with Pitbull, so you can't blame me for not looking good against Claggett tonight, see? I don't like that type of shit. What kind of cop-out nonsense is that? Tank Davis has nothing to do with your performance, sir. Okay? You looked terrible compared to that of what people were probably expecting to see, that is. Okay? People were not expecting to see Claggett give you the business and eat your shot so easily the way he did. Okay? So leave Gervonta out of it. This is definitely one of the reasons why, I'm not a supporter of Teofimo Lopez or a fan or anything like that. To me, he's very cowardly. He makes tons of excuses for his faults. Yet he wants to, pose and think of himself the best in the division. He's a good fighter for sure. There's no doubt about that. But he's got plenty of question marks, as far as I'm concerned, on his back until he steps in the ring with more elite. That's the only way questions will be answered for me, as far as Teofimo is concerned. I could definitely see that he's talented, but he is not creme de la creme until he proves that. And so far, he hasn't proved that to me at all. I found something else interesting about the post-fight interview that he did. And that is that he only called out Pitbull Cruz as a person that he has on the radar. Okay? That's all. Like, that's all I'm waiting to see, what time you on, Mr. I'm like that. Well, I'm waiting to see what time you on, and you only want to smoke with Pitbull? I find that extremely odd, you guys, especially for the man who says, oh, no, because I'm really out here. I'm really, quote unquote, like that. Are you, sir? What happened to the takeover, son? Huh? Pitbull is your only target? That's the only person with a target on their back? Especially considering that you got people like Devin Haney all up in the 140 division claiming space and taking numbers in your yard? Huh? The takeover that got his face and his eyes taken over by Claggett? Huh? If you say so, I guess. And if Claggett, with his come forward and aggressive style, swole your eyes nearly shut, what will Pitbull look like against you? Interesting indeed. T.O.'s also been talking tough about moving up to 147 and all types of nonsense, using Bud's names to clout chase like a motherfucker. But you couldn't sit Claggett's ass down? You want a body bag hand delivered to you or something? Is that why you calling out Bud's name? Again, this is just a glimpse into one of the various reasons why I don't rock at all with this dude. Okay, he's a duck. First of all, he's been ducking damn Devin Haney deliberately for years. Okay, he stands on no business. He hates on black men, black elite fighters. He wants no smoke with them whatsoever. Talks all kinds of weird shit, talking about, oh yeah, I'm black from the waist down. This dude's a fucking weirdo. I don't rock with T.O. like that. I think that he has some talent. I think that, he's had some interesting fights. And it was cool to see him when he defeated Lomachenko and turned the tables kind of on the 135 division when he managed to accomplish that feat. But ever since the, claiming of those titles at that particular time, everything went south. And I was just not interested in him at all, especially with all the shit that he was talking about Devin Haney. And not to mention all the latter things that wind up commencing with the racist talk and the disgusting sexual references to, his creepy ass fetish with black manhood. I am not down with the T.O. train at all. Him and his daddy are some weirdos to me, real talk. But nonetheless, he pulled off the victory. He's going to have to do some major cleanup work. And I guess that's what he was trying to get started, amid him providing, already having a bag of excuses at hand to deliver to the interviewers during the post-fight, discussion as to why it was such a scathing victory to a man who has 7 losses on his resume. It's not something that he's going to quite live down anytime soon. So whatever his next moves are, it's definitely going to have to outshine and outdo every aspect of the performance that we saw last evening in opponent and in stature as well, because the question marks continue to loom as far as Teofimo is concerned. But anyway, those are my thoughts for now. I'm on to the next, you guys. Peace.